Welcome to the Grim Tapes, a channel where we dive deep into the shadows of history, mystery, and horror. Tonight, we're about to explore a ghost story that has haunted literature, theater, and the human psyche for centuries. It's a tale shrouded in blood, betrayal, ambition, and revenge, the ghost of Banquo from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. But we won't just retell a fictional legend. We're peeling back layers of history, superstition, and psychology to ask, was Banquo ever real? Is his ghost just metaphor, or did Shakespeare tap into a deeper, darker folklore that still lingers? Settle in, because this is not just literature. It's a journey into the spectral unknown. The origin of Banquo. Let's begin by tracing Banquo to his earliest roots. In Shakespeare's Macbeth, Banquo is a Scottish general, a nobleman, and most importantly, a character destined to father a line of kings, according to the prophecy of the three witches. Banquo is Macbeth's friend, his ally in war, but also a threat to his ambition. Here's where things get interesting. Banquo may not have been entirely Shakespeare's invention. According to Holinshed's Chronicles, the historical source Shakespeare drew from, Banquo was a real figure, a nobleman who lived in 11th century Scotland. But modern historians suggest Banquo might have been entirely fabricated. Why? Because Banquo's line leads to King James I of England, who was the monarch during Shakespeare's time. In essence, Shakespeare could have been flattering the king by presenting Banquo as honorable, noble, and royal. So now, we have a fictional ghost, tied to a possibly fictional man, who was created to please a very real and powerful king. That in itself is a fascinating reflection of how history and politics weave into storytelling. The ghost in Macbeth, symbol or spirit. The ghost of Banquo is one of the most haunting moments in Macbeth. After Macbeth murders Banquo to prevent the witch's prophecy from coming true, Banquo's ghost appears at a royal banquet. Silent, bloodied, and accusatory, Banquo's ghost drives Macbeth to the brink of madness. But is Banquo's ghost a literal haunting or a metaphor for guilt? Scholars have debated this for centuries. Some argue that the ghost is a psychological manifestation, that Macbeth, tormented by his actions, conjures the ghost in his own mind. Others point out that the ghost has theatrical presence. It appears in public, disrupting Macbeth's dinner with his guests. If others can see it, then it may not just be in Macbeth's head. Still, Shakespeare leaves it ambiguous. That ambiguity is what makes Banquo's ghost so powerful. It doesn't matter if it's real. What matters is that Macbeth believes it is. That belief destroys him. Banquo in performance, stage phantoms and curses. Shakespeare's Macbeth has long been associated with superstition and danger. Many actors refer to it only as the Scottish play, fearing that speaking the name brings misfortune. Countless productions have suffered accidents, fires, even deaths. Could Banquo's ghost be a part of this supposed curse? Several theatrical legends involve strange occurrences during performances of Macbeth. Lights flicker. Props fall unexpectedly. Actors report seeing figures backstage that don't belong. Some claim to have seen a tall, shadowy man in period clothing standing in the wings, only to find no one there. Is this just mass hysteria or something more? Whether or not Banquo's ghost is real, the fear it evokes certainly is. It seems the very act of telling his story awakens something in the collective unconscious, or perhaps in something darker still. Psychological analysis, guilt made flesh. Let's explore the idea of ghosts from a psychological point of view. Carl Jung, the famed psychoanalyst, wrote extensively about the shadow self, the parts of us we suppress or deny. Could Banquo's ghost be Macbeth's shadow? A representation of the noble self he destroyed to gain power? In that sense, Banquo's ghost isn't just a plot device. It's a symbolic confrontation between ambition and conscience. Macbeth cannot escape the man he murdered, because that man was the embodiment of everything he could have been. Banquo represents integrity, loyalty, and honor. Macbeth chose treachery. And in doing so, he created a ghost not just of Banquo, but of himself. Cultural reflection: why we fear Banquo. So why does Banquo's ghost haunt us today? It's more than just a creepy scene in a play. Banquo is a mirror. In our modern world, we still grapple with ambition, betrayal, guilt, and legacy. We fear the consequences of our darkest actions. Banquo's ghost represents that fear, the idea that we cannot escape the consequences of what we do in the shadows. Ghost stories endure because they tell us something eternal about human nature. Banquo isn't just a ghost. He is a conscience. And as long as conscience exists, so will ghosts. Banquo in modern media and interpretations. Banquo's ghost has inspired countless adaptations across media, from film to literature to visual art. In some modern interpretations, Banquo is shown as a literal specter, haunting Macbeth in vivid, horrifying scenes. In others, he is a quiet presence, a shadow behind every action, a breath on the back of Macbeth's neck. Interestingly, some reinterpretations flip the roles. What if Banquo was never innocent? What if the ghost comes not to seek justice but to torment? These reimaginings reflect modern anxieties about guilt, surveillance, and punishment. Banquo's ghost evolves with culture. And that evolution tells us what we fear at different moments in history. Historical sightings and haunting claims. Beyond literature and theater, some believe that Banquo's ghost, or something inspired by it, has been seen in real locations tied to Macbeth's legend. Dunsinane Hill, the supposed location of Macbeth's castle, has long been rumored to be haunted. Visitors report cold spots, ghostly figures, and feelings of being watched. Could this be Banquo? Or is it simply the weight of history and legend pressing on the human mind? Interestingly, even scholars and historians who reject the supernatural sometimes admit that standing in these places feels different. Whether it's psychological or paranormal, Banquo's story leaves a mark. So what do we make of Banquo's ghost? Is he a figment of Macbeth's unraveling mind? A literary device? A spiritual warning? Or perhaps something more, a real entity born from collective belief and storytelling? Here are some questions to ponder. Do you believe a fictional character's ghost can take on real-world power through fear and legend? Have you ever experienced something that felt like a ghost but could have been guilt or emotion made manifest? Can art and performance create actual paranormal energy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. Thank you for joining us on this haunting journey into the legend of Banquo's ghost. If this episode gave you chills, intrigued your mind, or sparked your imagination, please consider subscribing to the Grim Tapes. We explore the darkest corners of folklore, history, and horror, always with an eye on the unseen. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow seekers of the strange, and leave a comment below. Your engagement helps us keep bringing you tales from beyond the veil. Until next time, beware of the ghosts you summon, because some stories, once told, never die.